It seems like it stopped, so that's a good thing, but I did shut it down. I'm gonna
Call that a hot mic in the emergency services too. We would often have on a county radio, someone's got the mic open and they would be chatting about, God, you could imagine the things going out over the county radio. Yikes, you know, what they did last night, what they did this morning, what they're gonna do tonight.
Sometimes they say the wrong stuff.
Oh, always. We made sure, we always told guys, oh my gosh, before you start yabbering on, make sure your mic's on.
I don't hear an echo, so I think we might be okay now.
Ready?
Let's get started.
I call the meeting to order for the Fenelon County Board of Commissioners, dated June 1st, 2021, starting at 1 p.m. Before we start our meeting, I would like to have prayer, and then we'll be up for the pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Ballard. And I welcome everyone to our meeting today. My hopes are that you had a great Memorial Day weekend honoring our veterans and our service men and women. But this time we'll stand, I'll have prayer, and then we'll be followed by the pledge of allegiance by Roger. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for your blessings. We thank you, Lord, for the freedom that we have in this country to meet and have our county meetings open to our public. We just pray, Lord, as we make decisions today and as we make decisions down the road by our Board of Commissioners, that they'd be not only honoring to the employees of our county, to our constituents, but we ask that you guide and direct us as we discuss and put thoughts and vote in what we're going to do with our county. We give you the honor and glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Ballard, for leading us in the pledge. At this time, we'll have a roll call by Denise.
District 1 Commissioner John Block.
Here.
District 3 Commissioner Bill Sartella.
Here.
District 4 Commissioner Roger Ballard.
Here.
District 5 Commissioner Joel Wyatt. District 2 Chairman Gary Huberman.
Here. Thank you, Denise. As we move forward in our agenda today, there is going to be amendment to our agenda. As you see on our agenda, there's 5 people vying for the Satellite Transportation Advisory Board, and there is an added name, and that will be Nancy Tesnek. So you can add that to your agenda, and I believe you have all in front of you in the pink piece of paper that Jody provided for us. So there will be an amendment to the agenda, adding Nancy Tesnek to that advisory board to be voted on later in the meeting. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the amended agenda for today.
So moved.
Okay, there's been a motion made and support. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed. Agenda will stand as amended today. Is there any corrections to the May 18th, 2000 meeting? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from May 18th, 2021.
So moved. Support.
A motion made and support to adopt and approve the minutes from May 18th BOC meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed the same. Motion passed. Next on our agenda is correspondence and petitions and introductions. In front of you, commissioners, today, we do have communication sheet here. I'll just highlight a couple of them. As you know, here a few weeks ago, we submitted a letter to the state, a resolution requesting reimbursement of lost revenue sharing funds from the state of Michigan. And then down in number 6, also here in county resolution support Senate bills 242 and 245 to enact 4-year terms for county commissioners. We did the same here a few weeks ago, that we would like them to elect a 4-year term. Any other communications that we need to discuss today? Okay, commissioners report. We'll start with Commissioner Block.
I don't have anything for commissioners report, but I will have something during committee reports.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sakala.
Lexington and Port Sanilac have scheduled their summer events on the calendar, so hopefully those things will be able to move forward as COVID things are eased up a little bit as well, the restrictions, and attended the Blessing of the Fleet and a couple of the church cemetery services yesterday. Very well attended, had a discussion with the sheriff, and a lot of cemeteries, there was well over 100 people at all the events participating in the different, and I don't know what the numbers were over here in Sandusky, but just a lot of good turnout by our public, and the Blessing of the Fleet. If you've never been to one, it's quite a unique event. That's all I have.
I attended Peck Village Council meeting and what township? I got lost in it. Buell, I believe it was. And I also attended Marlette's cemetery proceedings yesterday with the VFW, and Under Sheriff Torp gave a little talk there and did a real nice job. And it also was well attended. I got my 97-year-old mother out of the facility, and she got to go sit in on it. She really enjoyed getting out finally. So that's all I have.
Commissioner Wyatt.
Chairman Heberlin, I attended the Sanilac Community Mental Health Board meeting whereby they talked a little bit about the resolution in opposition, which Mr. Morris will be here presenting today, talking a little bit more extensively about it. So I'll leave it there. There was no meetings that I attended. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mine will be quite short. As Commissioner Sakala already said, a number of us attended the memorial services for our veterans yesterday, and I attended the courthouse lawn service here yesterday by our veterans of foreign wars, and I just wanted to impress on everyone, and it was brought up in one of the speeches yesterday. We as commissioners, politicians in Washington D.C., politicians in the state of Michigan, we didn't go fight the battle to have the freedoms we have today. Those men and women that went to battle and lost their lives never got to come back and see the family back to their towns. They fought for our freedom, and I think it's a great tribute to our men and women of foreign wars and all that have served, that we can sit here today and have the freedoms we have today. And I just wanted to exemplify that. We really had nothing to do with it unless we went to war and defended our country and defended our rights. So I always want you to keep that in mind. On a side note, I start my township meetings tonight, starting with Watertown Township. And as we get into committee reports, as Bill already said, we'll talk about that a little bit later. This time I'd like to turn the meeting over to Kara Griffith, our county administrator, for administrator's report.
Okay, I just have a few items. I'm going to try to keep it short. I won't get into too much of the weeds as far as our open enrollment, but it is starting this week. So we have several meetings scheduled for staff to learn about the Spousal Advantage Plan, which is new that we're offering this year. In addition, we're going to have 2 different webinars available for staff to come in and ask questions of our Gibson team, should they have questions on their enrollment. As you know, there's some major changes this year with the implementation of the Spousal Advantage Plan. We've switched to the Aetna network rather than Priority Health. So hopefully everything will go smoothly. We're excited about the changes, and hopefully staff are feeling the same way as well. Another item, the preparedness plan, which is for the courthouse building. I'd like to just take a moment to review that with you during public comment. There's several major changes that we're incorporating with the change in the emergency procedures from NIOSHA. So if we can just take a moment to discuss that. I know we have Todd Hillman on the call as well. So we'll just review those changes at the end of our meeting. And then in addition, we're sending out the budget instructions for 2022. So those should go out within the next couple of days. And we're looking at scheduling our budget committee meetings for the month of August. In the past, we've met every Tuesday. Well, there's 5 Tuesdays in August. I'm hoping we only need 3. So we're going to schedule 3 meetings to work through the budget.
So that will be in August, you said?
In August,
okay.
yeah.
All right, good.
Yep. So that process is starting. And then in addition, I know we've had conversations, lots of conversations surrounding the American Rescue Plan Act and those ARPA funds that we call them. We did receive our first tranche payment, which was just shy of $4 million. So with that being said, that money is already coming to the county. We're still listening to webinars. I mean, there's webinars every week on this, just to try to pick up information that we might be missing. Everything we're seeing so far with regard to the documentation that's been released, if you're spending the money, it has to be tied to COVID. So that's what we're seeing right now with regard to any spending on this funding with regard to infrastructure, because I know we worked through our infrastructure planning. We're currently looking at what we've compiled to determine what could potentially be due to COVID. And just some examples would be supporting remote work, screening, if we had to implement screening again, air quality improvements, which could be HVAC systems. So we're kind of looking to see what we can incorporate and utilize towards COVID. So that's where we're at right now.
Was technology part of that too, or not?
If it's related to COVID.
Okay.
So there's a lot of gray, and the scary thing is we don't want to get into a situation where we spent this money and then have them say, hey, that doesn't qualify, you got to pay that back. So we're going to take it slow. That's the plan. The Michigan Association of Counties is working with the state to try to leverage some funding and maybe get more of this funding back into the communities, maybe to help with infrastructure, which could then boost, potential tax revenue. But I haven't seen anything concrete from MAC yet. I know you guys are on the updates too. You haven't seen anything come through. That's all in the works. So we're just sitting back, taking our time, making sure that we're planning this right. So.
And it is my understanding, Sarah, that if indeed we take the money and we use it the way we're supposed to, and we have some left over, we have to give that back.
Yes.
But we can keep the interest we paid out the money.
Yeah, you can earn some interest. You're obviously limited as far as to how it can be invested, but we are able to keep the interest.
So right now, that first batch or that first funding disbursement is being in an account collecting interest.
Well, yeah, I think it's just in a bank account right now. We'd have to check with the treasurer to see if it's invested past that point right now.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
No, thank you very much, Sarah. Anyone else? Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Have we heard anything regarding the villages funding?
No, not at this time.
Now, NACO and MAC are both still watching that. Lisa McLean's office is still watching that, but there's been really no directive from the state level. The main thing that MACO and NACO are both saying, or MAC and NACO are both saying, is keep your powder dry. So be very meticulous on how the funds are utilized.
In the meantime, when we're talking about investment or where that money is sitting, if it's sitting in a bank account, I don't anticipate us having the next couple of weeks whip off a check.
Right.
Maybe that's a conversation we can have with the treasurer about allocating that in a way that brings back a little bit better return, I imagine.
Yeah, that's definitely a conversation to be for sure.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of interest-bearing opportunities for us with those funds at this time.
Is that the way it is? It's like the limitations are so strict that there's not much.
But it would be a good idea to have the treasurer give us some suggestions as to how to proceed.
Yeah.
We've explored a couple of other avenues and run into dead ends.
I mean, wouldn't it be reasonable, even if, we like to help out local, businesses, that being local banks, if possible, keep them their accounts so that they can utilize it to a degree. Well, it's still ours, but I mean, if they take that money and they use it.
Right. And that's something we can entertain with the treasurer by all means. Because that's where the majority of the county funds are locally anyways.
Any other questions for Joe? Moving on our agenda, public comments, agendas, items only to our agenda here this afternoon. Okay. You have a public comment? Sure.
She's here for an interview, I believe. She's here for an interview.
What's that?
She's here for an interview on the next item. You want to just?
Can you state your name, please?
Stacy Marisa.
Stacy? You have 3 minutes for public comment. Go ahead.
Gary.
She's here for an interview for the transportation board.
Mhm. Yeah, on the next item.
Oh, so we're gonna move, okay, all right, I'm sorry, I apologize. My apologies. Go ahead. You can go ahead.
I guess, I think it's been a while since I've done this. I guess I'm here to, about, renewing my Senate Transportation Board. I served on the board, I think 2 terms, as far as I remember. I have used, the Sound Transportation Services for 20 years, give or take. And I feel that I would be a very good candidate for the board, continue on the board, because I know a lot of the individuals that use their services. And feel that I could voice for them and offer good and helpful advice and opinions for them to help represent my fellow consumers that also use the transportation.
Well, Stacy, on behalf of our board of commissioners, I want to thank you for coming in. I thank you for having the courage to serve on a public board, and it sounds like you have a passion for that. So thank you for coming in.
For having me.
Thank you.
Stacey, I have a question for you. Thank you for volunteering to do this. The last 2 terms, you say. That's great. So with that experience, how much more different has this last year been because of COVID in terms of your process of sitting on that board than the previous time?
Well, obviously the talent and writers has dropped significantly. I definitely feel like I don't think we've had as many meetings because of that also. However, I do commend the drivers in keeping up with the sanitary, keeping the buses clean, sanitary wise, and also the social distancing, and how they've put on each of the seats where you can sit and can't. I feel they've done really good with keeping it at a comfortable level without making it feel like you're yelling or something. I know people can easily feel out of place once you start putting up signs as to where to sit and where not to sit, and but I think they've done really well. It's really, as far as I've heard from other individuals that also use the buses, they've done a very good job, I think, at keeping up with the comfort level as well as the safety level with the COVID restrictions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
This is Kim Jordan.
Good afternoon.
Kim.
Can you state your name, please?
My name is Kim Jordan. Okay.
Go ahead. I just wanted.
Okay. What questions do you have for me?
Kim, why is it that you'd like to continue serving on the Sanilac Transportation Advisory Board?
I tell you what, I absolutely love it. I'm learning new things and everything, and learning more about how they do things, and it's really interesting. When we get our sheets after the meetings, I sit and read them, and it's really, to me, it's very interesting. And they got a lot of good drivers. And the thing that I like is I've been on the bus system for 13 years. And I've rode the bus for that long and it's a very, very interesting.
Kim, can you tell me, in the time that you served, has there been any piece of advice that you've given the Sound Lake Transportation Committee? Something that they just took and ran away with?
Well, yes, what they did was, I did, tell them that every passenger on the bus should wear a seatbelt, every single one of them. And then when I was on the bus the other day, I seen that, I'm like, okay,
So that was not the case prior to your suggestion?
no, that wasn't on there. No, and then we went through and redid the book, the handbook, and it was very enjoyable. It was.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, any other questions for Kim? No. Okay, thank you.
Oh, very well. You all have a great day and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye
Yeah.
now.
That's all I have.
That's it? Okay.
Thanks for coming in, Kim.
Yep. Thank you.
I'd like to direct your attention, Commissioners, to starting with page 11. We have a letter from Stacy and her interest for serving on the board. If we go to page number 13, we have Kim Jordan, and then also on page number 14, we have a letter here from Kelly Haley. So we've heard from 2 of the 5, but I just wanted to direct your attention to the letter.
There's also one on page 12.
Pardon me?
There's also one on page 12.
So, I'm sorry. Yep.
Chairman Heberlin, we have a few people on the line. I'm not sure if they're calling in for interviews.
Oh,
I
okay.
see some numbers that I'm not recognizing, so we might just want to.
So if you can hear me online or by remote, we are interviewing for the Sound Lake Transportation 2-year board. Is there any parties on the line that would like to speak at this time that are vying for that position? Okay, moving on. Appoint your standing committees. County Commissioner appoints the boards, commissions, and committees. And on that agenda, we have Sound Lake Transportation Advisory Board, and it is a 2-year term. So we just vote. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to put those 5 on.
I move to nominate all of those listed, the 5 members listed, for the Sound Lake Transportation Local Advisory Board.
Support.
There's been a motion made to put all 5 people on that advisory board. Denise, is this a roll call vote? Or we okay? Good. So any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Congratulations to those 5. Next is on our agenda is county commission chair appointments and general resolutions. And general resolution, we have 1. And Bill Sakala, Commissioner Sakala is going to lead that resolution.
County of Sanilac, Michigan resolution in opposition. Whereas the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners has entered into an enabling resolution to create the Sanilac County Community Mental Health Authority pursuant to Section 100, Section 205 of the Mental Health Code, 1974 PA 258 as amended. And whereas Sanilac County Community Mental Health is a community mental health authority of the County of Sanilac organized under the terms of Section 204A of the Michigan Mental Health Code, MLC 330.1204. And whereas Section 116 of the code requires the Department of Community Mental Health shift primarily responsibility for the direct delivery of public mental health services from the state to a community mental health services program whenever the community mental health services program has demonstrated a willingness and capacity to provide an adequate and appropriate system of mental health services for the citizens of that service area. And whereas Sanilac CMH has demonstrated such willingness and capacity to provide a broad array of innovative, cutting-edge community mental health services for over the past 50 years and is properly certified as a community mental health services program under the terms of Section 232 of the code. And whereas the biggest concerns with Senator Shirkey's gearing toward integration proposal and subsequent changes proposed to the Michigan Social Welfare Act are that it will privatize the public mental health system and essentially eliminate the public safety net and would make Sanilac CMH just another provider for the managed care entity, which is a dramatic shift from what they do today. And whereas the proposed plan speaks to requirements for creating a new entity that will become a Medicaid health plan and is silent to all the roles and responsibilities of the current system that are core to the social determinants, safety net role, and community collaborative work of the public system. And whereas the proposal talks about a more uniform benefit structure, however, by allowing for a multiple entity per region approach. This does not provide uniformity with benefits. The Medicaid health plans will not provide the same benefits across regions and the state like they do today. And whereas the proposal lacks public oversight and accountability, it eliminates the PIHP system and dramatically reduces the role of the CMH system and all but eliminates public accountability. And whereas this proposal does not eliminate layers, as Medicaid health plans will pick up the managed care functions from the PIHPs at a much higher cost, 15% versus 6%, which will mean this money will be removed from the care that people are receiving today. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners strongly urges its state Senate and House of Representatives to oppose Senator Shirkey's gearing toward integration proposal and subsequent changes proposed to the Michigan Social Welfare Act, which would privatize the public mental health system and essentially eliminate the public safety net. And be it further resolved that the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners supports Sanilac County Community Mental Health Authority as a public behavioral health system that provides necessary community safety net services and supports. And be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be provided to Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Senator Dan Lowers, Representative Andrew Beeler, Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Director Elizabeth Hertel, Behavioral Health and Development Disabilities Administration Deputy Director Dr. George Milos, and the Michigan Association of Counties and all Michigan counties.
Thank you, Commissioner. There's been a motion made and entertain the support.
Support.
At this time, I'll open it up for discussion. Will, did you have anything to say before we go ahead and vote?
Honestly, I came just in case there were questions, so I could answer them. Our biggest concern is this obviously does privatize the system. And currently Sanilac County CMH is the primary behavioral health provider. Through this plan, the health insurance company would be able to contract with different providers versus the community mental health center, which would then dramatically weaken our ability to provide community level services that we do now. It also will take away some of the flexibility that we have. You know, each county, I always stress this, and we're not cookie cutter. We do things here that they don't do in Wayne County because we need to do them here and they don't need to do them there. This plan will make me do things the same way Wayne County does without a lot of that flexibility. And I've had conversations obviously with Commissioner Wyatt, who's on my board, and then Commissioner Block also called me and he had some concerns with a little bit of language. And as I told him, you guys can wordsmith it however you need to. But for me, it's just important that the state understand that here, as in a lot of other counties, we like our local control. You know, the commissioners appoint my board, they have input into how we run business, and we want to keep that way. We want to be a public entity.
We obviously don't want to do things the way that other counties do from big municipalities. I think we all agree to that.
Even local, even smaller municipalities are different. You know, Huron County does things different than we do, but we do what's necessary for Sanilac County.
And have the controls here locally.
Right.
Absolutely. Commissioner, do you have anything to say, Commissioner Black?
Well, John, I'll let you speak.
Oh, so, you know, I read through this. I thought it was well written. The only issue that I took with it, and I did call and talk to Will about it, is identifying Senator Shirkey by name. I guess for me personally, I'd rather see us identify this as the Senate gearing towards integration proposal rather than naming him as an individual. Yeah, that's the only change that I would suggest.
There's probably a Senate bill number attached to that we can reference.
Had it not been a holiday weekend, I'd have done my homework.
There is no Senate bill currently. He has not proposed anything in committee. That's why.
You're way ahead of the game on this, eh?
Yeah, there actually is a different one in the House of Representatives since I wrote this with Representative Whiteford, but this one is, if I had to choose between the two, these are far more extreme than that one.
Why are they doing this? I mean, I referenced a couple articles when we had a conversation, and what I gathered from those articles, hopefully they were unbiased and independent, But they said essentially the system we have now is broken, and this is a method in which to fix it by using big government to use privatization of healthcare to distribute care that will be better in touch with the locals.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to me that they use those statements that, because out of one side of the mouth, we get all this kudos for the stuff behavioral health systems have done since COVID and even before, stepping up to the plate, and helping our communities get through this process. And then on the other side of the mouth, you have a few people who scream that the system is broken and needs to be privatized. I'm not saying the system is perfect. No system is perfect. We undergo change and improvement all the time. But what they're proposing to do is to integrate care at the payer source versus at the provider source. To me, we integrate care by sending a therapist to Deckerville Hospital when they have a person that's in need, or sending a therapist to be housed in a medical facility so we can coordinate that care at the individual choice for each individual person that we serve, versus giving the money to the health insurance company who pays for healthcare, assuming that they would pay by being the person that has the check, they'll actually integrate care. That's never worked. But that's the perspective of this plan primarily, and this originates actually 12 years ago, probably, or 10 years ago. Under the previous administration, they had Section 298, which was language that came out to do the same kinds of things. It kind of stopped and died.
What are they trying to fix?
I can't answer that question because I don't see the problem the way that they're outlining the problem.
They identified a broken system, but they didn't identify which components are broken.
My comment to you would be Sanilac County, there's a grievance and appeals process in the state of Michigan. Okay? Any person who doesn't receive services that they want can appeal it to a judge. We have not had an appellate judge in years. I can't remember the last time we went to a legal case to deny someone care. Everyone who comes in my door that needs services gets services at the level that they want them. Sometimes we think they need more and they won't take it. I can't help that.
Is it your opinion, as you described to me, let me see, that as we move forward under the privatization model, whether it's Whiteford's or what's his name's, right? There'll be individuals who will be left without health care, mental health care, whereby currently you figure out how to give it to them.
Yes, I can guarantee you that because currently we're supposed to provide services to what's considered, and I don't like these terms, but severe or profound impairment, okay? We provide services for most folks that come into our doors because there isn't any other game in town. So under these rules, we will literally have the rule book changed and structured in such a way that I can't fit somebody in that we do now. Because if we're not reimbursed for a particular person, we can't provide service. This is completely contrary to the whole CCDHC federal movement to looking at integrating care at the provider level. We actually have an agreement with Marlette Hospital. If I get funded with a grant application, I was hoping to know by today, I still don't know yet. So that we're going to integrate care at the provider level already and bring $2 million into the county to do that, both for healthcare and behavioral health, to provide more services. This would be contrary to that.
I'd just like to make one comment, Will. As you said, any document or any process is not perfect. And I'll go out on a limb and say this, I probably will be chastised by some, but anytime big government gets involved with things, it's a disaster. And I'm not saying everything, but a lot of things are. And if we can keep this locally with this resolution the same we can do, obviously we want to keep it locally and governed by our Board of Commissioners and by your department. So I think for the most part, it's a good document and a good resolution. I think the only thing we want to change here today with a friendly amendment is possibly taking the name out of it. Is that correct?
Yeah, if I could offer a friendly amendment to simply change the term Senator Shirkey's gearing toward integration proposal to the Senate gearing towards integration proposal, if you guys think that would be adequate.
And we also have it in the second paragraph from the top.
Yep, correct. There's two instances of that phrase. They just both can change.
Good. So there's an
Bill, you
amendment,
with us?
amendment to this resolution to take out the name. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Roger?
Yep. Certainly. I did a little research on this
Oh, wait,
last week,
Lisa's got everything wrote up.
and
I got those back.
there's a lot of PAC money floating around in regards to this.
There's news
Well,
articles on that too. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
definitely, you
Yep.
know, you can't ignore that.
no,
Any other comments?
Well, the other thing I was gonna say is that's always been our biggest barrier. Being a publicly funded system, we don't have PAC funds. The CEOs of the organizations and board members do donate to a PAC fund, but let's be honest, our PAC is about the size of a pea to the Grand Canyon for the healthcare plans.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Oh, I sorry, Denise, I knew that too. So,
Right, Commissioner Wyatt,
Yes.
Commissioner Ballard,
yes.
Commissioner Black,
Yes.
Commissioner Scarpella,
Yes.
Chairman Huberman.
yes. Motion passed. Thank you all. Good discussion and very good resolution, I think, to move forward with. Thank you, Will. for
Thank you, Will.
Committee reports, number 16 on our agenda, and I don't know, we'll start, I guess we'll start that in the table.
Policy, no. Personnel, no. I don't believe I have any committee
Okay.
reports.
We have a park meeting tonight. Parks were all full for the holiday. What few cancellations they had, they keep a waiting list and they were all filled.
Oh,
So,
that's great news.
yeah. And the, if you get a chance, if you're out by Forester Park up 25, drive through and check out the gazebo.
Okay.
It's just like we wanted. You drive in there and it looks like it was never gone. It's beautiful.
Great. Yeah, you showed me some pictures that are pretty impressive.
I believe they still have to finish the floor, put the finish on the floor, I should say. The floor is installed, but.
And need to commend your committee and the contractors.
It's been a long process, but it's exactly what we were hoping for. So that's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Scarpella.
Attended HDC in Carroll, their meal program is still expanding. That starts ramping up and the employees there are drifting back in the next few weeks here through June to everybody should be there in person now moving forward. So finally, they'll be back face to face. And then the MAC Ag and Tourism Committee meeting we had after our last meeting here, they're monitoring 3.9 billion in state funds, trying to get those dollars generated towards water and jails and the health departments. And they had a presentation from Eric Kabrowski, excuse me, from MSU Extension, programming assistance for farm stress. And then the 4-year terms are still under discussion and they're opposed to the aggregate bill. They're not supporting that, which is removing local control for locations. I'm good, Gary, for locations of gravel pits. So the state apparently wants to have something that's more generalized, but it'll remove local control like Will was talking about in regards to things with mental health, same thing, why are they doing that? Obviously, there's, money behind everything with this, but by not supporting it, it allows locations for gravel pits to be regulated locally.
The government wants to step in there too.
Oh, yeah, that's been going on for a while. It's a contentious issue. In fact, the Free Press broke the news last year with a study that was commissioned by the MDOT, right? To determine what the state of aggregates in the state were, right? Like how much aggregates. So the study was presented by the Michigan Aggregates Council saying, oh yeah, we're all out of gravel. We need this legislation to take it out of local control. We got to be in charge.
Well, didn't that start with the big gravel pit down by Metamora?
Metamora, yeah.
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 That's what I thought.
You talk to some township folks that have gravel pits, like
Oh, yeah.
I'm familiar with Grant Township, and Worth has got mid-Michigan there. It's a big deal, yeah. Soil removal and the ability for municipalities to either say yay or nay, it's a big deal.
And then I had contact with Senator Dan Lowers, and he's exploring the ARP funding for villages as well. So we'll see where that goes. So everybody's looking, but at this point in time, obviously, we can't get any answers.
It just amazes me how some of these government people can lay awake at night and bring this kind of stuff up. It's just so ridiculous, but they got the time and the power and the money, right?
I think that's their job, right? To find new rules and regulations.
I'm gonna give a real short report. I start my township meetings tonight, and because I was out of state here a couple weeks ago, I didn't attend our county planning commission meeting, but it was, from my understanding, talking to Commissioner Block and others on the committee, it was a very informative meeting, very educational, and we made, the committee made some good plans moving forward. So that said, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Block.
Yeah, so to piggyback off what Chairman Heberlin said about the planning commission, we had a very informative meeting. I believe it was Sergeant Moore from the drug task force was there to discuss the medical marijuana grow operations that have just been contentious in all the townships. It was very informative, learning what we can and can't do. We got another interesting
George Lasaki.
presentation from George. Excellent presentation about some new things going on with producing natural gas off of some of these large dairies. And there's some benefits there that'd be great for the farmers, but also for the local community, because by doing this on some of these large dairies, it's going to reduce the smell. And the manure that does get spread on the fields would have less smell to it after going through these digesters. So that might be a good positive for the community. And then the last thing that everybody here really needs to be aware of, the county master plan, don't quote me, but I believe it was created in like 2001.
It's well overdue to be updated.
So it's kind of overdue to be updated. We looked at trying to do it in-house to try to save costs. It just doesn't seem feasible. So the county planning board did pass a motion at the meeting last week to send out an RFP to have consulting firms give us some proposals and what it would cost and what would be entailed in having them help us develop a new master plan for the county. One thing to keep in mind is the county planning commission doesn't have any real authority over the townships, but we're looking at that county master plan to be a vision that we can use, and county government possibly looking for grants and different things, that we've got something to back up our dreams in this county when we're looking for funds to finish projects. So as we get more information on that, we'll continue to work through it, and then eventually it'll land here at the board for approval for whatever it would cost to get that master plan done.
And I do believe, Tara, you had sent out some type of document letting us know there is possibly grants for that. Did you send that, or you?
I think Lisa Kenny, who was,
Lisa Kenny.
yeah, she was also at the meeting. She suggested there was possible grant monies out there. So we'll be exploring that as well.
All right, great report.
Thank you.
That sounded like a very informative and good meeting. Thank you all for your committee reports. Moving on to unfinished business, I have none today. And new business, we'll start with FA 090-21, approval of current claims.
The Santa Ana County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of current claims from 2021 identified in the accounts payable report dated May 25th, 2021 for the general bank account in the amount of $161,415.10.
Okay, a motion made, entertain support.
Support.
Okay, a motion made and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same, motion passed. Next is FA 091-21, budget appropriations amendments. Budget adoptions, amendments, appropriations, and transfers.
The Santa Ana County Board of Commissioners hereby approves following budget amendments and establishes the following accounts.
You can see those on page 6. I'll entertain a support. Okay, motion made, support. Any discussion?
I got a question about the supplies tag, and that would be with the sheriff's office, I imagine.
Yes.
Yeah, is there anything in particular?
Not
Because
that-
it's interesting out of these ordinance.
Well, it looks like they're actually increasing, but I don't know what they purchased, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
So they're just shifting $800 into that expense line.
You asking it if it, because it's an increase or just?
Yeah, if they had something in mind that they got going on that they needed to increase, I'm just curious because.
It is a good
Subset of
question,
responsibility. Okay.
We can certainly look into that.
I'll call them. and
Okay.
ask them. I'll be good.
All right. Any further discussion? Saying none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Next is FA 092-21, authorization to post and fill building inspector construction for land use.
The Salem County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the Construction and Land Use Office to post and fill the building inspector position at a pay grade 10.
Support. We have a motion made and support. Any further discussion, questions?
This was based on a resignation.
It was based on a verbal resignation. However, the verbal resignation has been rescinded.
So we don't need to fill the position.
No,
It's
and
no longer vacant.
I'll comment on that. I had talked to Tara at length, and I maybe texted and emailed back and forth, and because we all knew there was a building inspector and electrical inspector that was come up, and I had thought possibly this person had the building inspector turned in a written resignation, and the reason I left it on the agenda today because it is a public document, and in my township meetings, I know some of you have announced it in township meetings that we're going to hire a building inspector. In fact, I think it's already went out in the newspaper, et cetera. And so everybody's wondering, possibly, I shouldn't say everyone, possibly people say, well, what happened? Who was hired? So I wanted to bring it to the agenda so we, in the public wing, we found out that building inspector decided not to take on another job or leave, and he never did put it in writing. It was a verbal. So that's why I wanted to put it on the agenda, so everybody knows that the building inspector is staying.
So I would implore everyone to vote against this because it's no longer relevant in terms of the need to appoint a position. However, I do have a question. Pay grade 10, was that the pay grade in which the individual was hired at?
Yes.
And what step were they at?
I want to say maybe around a 3.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the years of service. So maybe a 2.
Partly joking, but if we did approve this, we could hire him back at a step 1.
Well,
Let me know how that works out for you.
I don't want to get into that. It was a verbal, and
Okay.
he decided against it, and I think that we don't need to take any action.
Because-
Other than action, we need to make it public that.
Because this is a good place to work, that's why.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. All right, all in favor, say aye.
No. Against, sorry, I jumped the gun.
I just wanted to bring it up.
We don't say no very often, so I'm so excited.
All in favor, say aye. We're not going to accept this?
Well, no.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I get it.
Neither one, we're on a different track.
Motion, we are.
Is it Monday?
It really is a Monday, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, moving on to FA 093-21.
All those against.
We just need to vote it down.
We gotta vote it down, Gary.
All those against.
Okay, sorry.
Yep.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, the same.
Aye.
Okay,
Perfect.
we'll just flip flop here.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That's a,
All right, FA 093-21, authorization to post and fill sorter positions at the recycle center.
The Salem County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the recycling center to post and fill the sorter positions.
Did they do the job study yet? That hasn't come back yet, has it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We did have a meeting with Joanne last week, and she's going ahead and posting it because they're really short of help.
Yep.
As everybody knows, everybody's got to help on it, fine. And she's down to, I think the day we had the meeting, there was, she had 3 people working on 12 people.
She's been pretty thin down there for a long time.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Okay, moving on to FA 094-21, authorization to post and fill assistant prosecutor vacancy, prosecutor's office.
The Santa County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the prosecutor to post and fill the upcoming assistant prosecutor vacancy at a pay grade 12, step 1.
Okay, there's been a motion made and support for FA 094-21, authorize the post and fill assistant prosecutor vacancy. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed. FA 095-21, authorization to post and fill specialist position, Information Technology Department.
The Santa County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the IT director to post and fill an additional IT specialist at a pay grade 6.
Okay, and a motion made and support. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next is FA 096-21, authorization to post and fill seasonal caretaker / maintenance position, Parks Commission.
The Santa County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the following amended job description for the seasonal caretaker maintenance worker and further authorizes the Parks Commission to post and fill an additional seasonal caretaker maintenance worker for Lexington Park at a pay grade 1.
Support. Okay, been a motion made and support for authorization to post and fill seasonal caretaker maintenance. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next on our agenda is FA 097-21, authorization to post and fill full-time caretaker maintenance position.
The Santa County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the following amended job description for the full-time caretaker maintenance worker and to further authorize the Parks Commission to post and fill a full-time caretaker maintenance worker for Evergreen Park at a pay grade 1.
Support. Okay, been moved and support for FA 097-21. I just want to direct your attention. I know you all see it, but the job descriptions are listed below on each one of these items we're going to vote on today. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to, I sent out emails and I believe I sent information to you folks last week. We had a job analysis done on this through municipal consulting services. And this position will actually have the same duties other than supervisory as the full-time maintenance maintenance supervisor, excuse me. So I sent in the information to municipal consulting and we got back the results of that, and he placed that position at a grade 3 for that full-time position. And I'd like to amend that job description to reflect that. And all these positions we're voting on will start at step 1.
Okay.
That's per
Step 1,
policy,
grade 3.
per policy. Pardon me?
Step 1, grade 3, you're saying?
Grade 3, step 1
Okay.
on the full-time. Yep.
Okay, any further discussion?
So just to be clear, so in the job description right here, other pay grade 1, that's where it's supposed to be grade.
3, step 1.
Do we need to make that a friendly amendment, Denise, or?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
That'll be a friendly amendment.
Yep, I accept that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay with it, okay.
I'll support.
Roger, is there
Yes.
any other parks that have that position?
That, we haven't used that position in several years, but with, ongoing development, it's become a need for Evergreen. We did have that position before Evergreen even existed out at Forester. And so now out there, we rely more on seasonal staff than full-time for that third position. Parks are a little different.
Through, that would be this email that was
Yes.
sent out?
Yes,
Where are we looking at the grade recommendation?
you should have gotten this
Well,
letter.
there it is, okay,
You find it?
second page.
Yep, third page, actually. I
Factor
think.
resulting, blah, 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 grade 3 county space.
Or yeah, second. Yep. That answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same motion passed. Next on agenda is FA 098-21, authorization to fill parks clerk position.
Salem County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the following amended job description for the part-time Parks Clerk and to further authorize the filling of the position by the Parks Commission at a pay grade 1.
Support.
Okay, there's been a motion made and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Next is FA 099-21, authorization to dispose single wall tanks. This is the Parks Commission.
The Salem County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the disposal of single wall tanks for the parks, non-pro-tunc 518, with proceeds of the sale to be deposited in the parks millage.
Support.
Okay, the motion made and support. Any further discussion? Just my question to you, Roger, is this taking place already?
They're gone.
Got her done.
Yeah.
Looks much better around there.
But
It really does. It's amazing how a couple of things can make a big difference.
seeing no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed. Last, NFA 025-21, authorization for payment of capital contributions, and this will be Board of Commissioners.
The Salem County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes payment in the amount of $42,012 payable to Contrarian Holdings LLC for the purpose of placing a capital investment contribution with Contrarian Holdings LLC to become a member of the pooled health program for the county's self-funded health insurance model.
Any further discussion?
So Tara, this was what was required as the first step towards self-insurance.
Yes, yep, so this will actually be required in years 1 and 2 of our plan.
That amount?
Yes, the amount might change. It's pretty much driven by the cost of our premiums. So it's like a 10% of the,
It's like a membership fee of sorts?
well, no, it's an investment. So it'll still be treated as an asset. It won't be considered cash within our fund, but it will be considered as an investment. And if we do terminate, we do get that money back.
What do they do with that money? What's the purpose of it being in there?
Well, it is invested for us as a part of the pooled Pareto membership, if you will. So if you recall with that, the self-funded model, we're going to be pooled with other similar sized organizations to leverage better rates. So they are investing it. I would assume they're using whatever those investment earnings are to control the
So
cost.
during the term of our association with this group, this money along with the other pooled fundings will be used to manage care or
Yes.
whatever the deal is. Okay. But then when we exit out, if is there a rate of interest over the years that with us or just on that?
No, just the initial investment.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion passed. Moving on to number 19, our agenda, today's agenda, public comments. I'll open this up this time for any public comment.
I do have a public comment to discuss our preparedness plan, if you don't mind. Seeing that no one's jumping into to bring anything up right now.
Okay.
I just wanted to review with you very quickly. I did send out some information prior to the long weekend with a summary of the proposed changes for our preparedness plan. So as you are aware, MyOSHA made some significant changes to the employer responsibilities as far as screening and mask wearing and record documentation. So I did put together a summary. I didn't print them off. I can read through it really quickly though.
Sure.
I'll differentiate between fully vaccinated employees and then non-vaccinated. So first off, one of the major changes is we no longer need to have the screening station and take the screening evaluations of our visitors and our employees, as well as the temperature screening. That can all go away. So we can remove the screening station. Instead, what we'll have is basically signage that will inform the public or visitors that if they're not vaccinated, they are required to wear a mask. If they are vaccinated, they don't have to. So it'll be really simple. We'll still have masks, so should anyone, any visitors or employees still wish to wear a mask, we'll still have those available. So that's one major change. With regard to fully vaccinated employees, they will no longer be required to wear masks. Basically, what we're asking of our fully vaccinated employees is to perform a self-health assessment before arriving to work to make sure that they're feeling well enough to be in the building. We don't need to keep documentation of this any longer. That was one of the MIOSHA criteria, is that we don't need to have record retention for.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask a question. Commissioner Wyatt and I read a document today. It looked like from MIOSHA, and it was a little bit misleading. It said,
Well, let me get to the second part.
okay, all right.
So to prove that you are vaccinated, we are requesting, we have to keep documentation to prove who's vaccinated. So we're requesting those employees who are vaccinated to send us an email indicating such. So if you're vaccinated, send us an email, let us know. We have to maintain that record according to MIOSHA. So that will be a requirement as well. That way we can determine who's vaccinated and who's not. So there are updates within the preparedness plan with regard to social distancing, mask wearing, that will have to, our department officials will have to basically make sure that those non-vaccinated employees are still socially distanced. And then if you are not vaccinated, then you will also do the self-assessment prior to arriving to work, but you will be required to complete your form. So we have a new form that's established. It's a bi-weekly form instead of the sheet that we were filling out on a daily basis. And we can turn that in with our payroll timesheet. So we have an email address set up where those non-vaccinated employees can submit their self-evaluation form too. And we'll collect them there. We have to retain that information for a period of 6 months, according to MIOSHA. So the major changes are the screening station would go away. Visitors would see signage so they can determine if they're not vaccinated, they need to wear a mask. If they are, then they can come in the building without a mask on. And then same with employees. If they're vaccinated, they need to email and state that they are vaccinated, still self-evaluate. There's no requirement to keep a paper document. And then if you're not vaccinated, you're still required to wear a mask, still required to social distance. And then you have to complete the self-evaluation form. So those are the main changes. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I do. I have a question. I'm probably asking for maybe a couple of us in here. I read that and it said that I want to choose my words right here, that we have to keep that on record for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also read, and it came from the governor, that as of July 1st, no more masks.
Yeah, my motion.
I have a little bit of problem with that because for a number of reasons, I won't enter it here. Why would we keep that for 6 months when the mask is going to go away in 30 days?
Well, MIOSHA is a little bit different than what the governor's rolling out. Todd, you might be on the call and might be able to back.
Yeah.
I know effective July 1st, you're right. The governor is, saying everything can go away, but from an employer standpoint, we still have the authority.
Apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Okay.
We still have to follow
So
MIOSHA. The current emergency rules under MIOSHA are until October 14th.
14.
So unless MIOSHA comes out after the governor's announcement on July 1st, it comes out, changes their emergency rules, then at the earliest, October 14th would be the earliest we could, eliminate those records and stop all those procedures. But as long as MIOSHA enforces it for the workers and employees and employers, they have to follow MIOSHA, irrespective of what the governor said through MDHHS.
So that's a little bit misleading because I've heard students say, hey, July 1st, we're no more masks. So that's not really true.
Well, we've seen this all along for the last year. What MDHHS says is not the same as what my OSHA requires. So you got businesses that think, yeah, off with the masks, and they find out that no, by my OSHA standards, you still have to work them. And you say, well, wait a minute, the MDHHS rule's over with and we can do this. Yeah, well, my OSHA's different, right? So we do have to wait as employers and employees for my OSHA to finish their emergency rules. Now, they'll take a little while, but they'll be forthcoming after July 1st. I'm quite sure it won't. If indeed July 1st ends up the end of masking rules, quite possibly it'll be the same for employer and employee. However, if you're reading here, even if you're vaccinated and you work in healthcare or public transportation, you're wearing the mask, irrespective of vaccines or not. So there are some differences between the general residential, you're outdoors as Joe Schmo citizen, and then you're an employee. There are some differences.
So this pertains just to employers and employees. Todd, maybe you have an answer for it too. What about our schools? Because I can't imagine high school football teams, end of July, 1st of August, when it's 98 degrees out, having to wear a mask and suffocate kids. Does that pertain to high school sports too?
Well, I think it's all going to come down to where these rule goes and what MyOSHA does. As Commissioner Wyatt said, I suspect mid-July that the MyOSHA is going to completely rewrite their emergency orders again. And, and then it's going to work out from there is how I see it work. As far as schools and masks, I presume it's going to go away from the conversations that I've been part of, but there's been nothing set in stone as far as what's going on. And it creates a lot of confusion. It really does.
It really does. And that's why I was being so specific about it. And I didn't mean to come on maybe so drastic, but there got to be some common sense here used off current COVID related testing and where the COVID stands.
Well, Chairman, it was confusing. Mr. Hillman and I had an hour-and-a-half conversation about this very subject, about the interpretation of specifically Rule 6-5, A, B, C, and D. Those are actually recommendations. It talks about it may be accomplished, meaning you don't have to. However, if you go down further to Rule number 8, it says must. Employers must maintain a record of the following requirements. And in, let's see here, B, it's health screening protocols. The employer shall maintain a record of health screening for each non-vaccinated employee or contractor entering the workplace. So even though it's may at the top, as far as vaccinated individuals and keeping track of who's vaccinated, who's not, we don't have to keep track of who's vaccinated, but we absolutely have to keep track of, by this rule, who's not vaccinated. So it ends up being, if you're concerned about being identified as vaccinated or unvaccinated, it's going to happen one way or the other. These rules catch you in that vice.
So as of today, if we vote on it, there's no more masks for vaccinated people in the courthouse. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. For those that are vaccinated.
All right. And Tara and Todd, please be understanding here. I wasn't singling both of you out to oversight this and have all the answers. I just, a number of people in our community, especially students in our schools, are wondering what's going on. That's in the state, as far as I'm concerned, is not giving us real good direction on this. And that's why I was trying to be so specific about this. So please don't think I was singling you two out to have all the answers for this.
I know it's for a short period of time, Tara and Todd, and I know that, we implemented procedures to make it a little bit more streamlined and easier to understand earlier on. But as we're winding this down, rule number 6-4 says the employer shall require any employee except fully vaccinated persons to wear face coverings when employees cannot consistently maintain 6 feet of separation while you're indoors. So unvaccinated individuals, if they can maintain 6 feet of separation, can be unmasked indoors. That's what that rule states. Now, we could, of course, be more stringent about it, just simply say if you're unvaccinated, you're wearing a mask, irrespective of what that says. But that does allow you, while making 6 feet of separation, to not wear a mask. So those individuals working in their offices with enough distances, this rule does allow them to be without a mask, whether they're vaccinated or not.
Well, that's why I've been trying to be specific here because that is, I'm glad we're gonna put in our file, right, who's vaccinating that, but as far as enforcing that and having oversight is, I think that's too much asking a department head. If one of their employees are not wearing a mask and haven't vaccinated, they gotta run down to our county controller or somebody else, that, you know, that's not good.
Well, that is exactly why it says here in part D, what employers can do is require face coverings and social distancing for everyone. And that's part of what we see in the businesses throughout the state, is they're just like, I don't know, you just got to wear your mask anyhow. And they have the right to do that if they so choose.
I'm glad you pointed that out. I am gonna kind of tweak this plan a little bit. Because I left it in there that we were still requiring shared office space, but I'll incorporate the 6 feet of distance. And I guess I don't know how that relates to public areas.
Well, it doesn't discount public areas, so if they can maintain 6 feet of space. I mean, honestly, I've watched people and their behavior. You know, I see them stop and wait, let someone else through the door first, giving them plenty of space. We've really changed the way we operate out in public, you know, just in an unconscious sort of manner. You know, I see a lot of that
I
going
don't
on.
know that we really have situations where we have a lot of crowding in our hallways, maybe at certain times of the day. But for the most part, it seems like you could safely distance from other people if you.
I think so.
With the courts shut down, there isn't a large
Right.
gatherings of people. There aren't.
Okay, I can tweak that language just so that way it's clear in there.
I have a question. I don't know if Todd can answer it. I've heard people in here today have concerns throughout the building about the question of, are you vaccinated or not? Is that a HIPAA violation?
And it's not.
It isn't.
So, yeah, I have a
Okay.
legal opinion that it's not a
Okay.
HIPAA violation. Now, if we get into detail and ask you the why, then that would be a HIPAA violation. So we can't ask anything more than a yes or no.
Just a general,
Mhm.
okay.
So Todd, my question to you as the chairman of the board, and I want to make sure we're crystal clear before we make a motion to vote on this. As of today, we're going to make a motion that no more masks are required in the courthouse unless you have not been vaccinated. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And
I
with the stipulation that was just mentioned, as far as the social distancing, if they can maintain social distancing, then you don't have to have a mask.
We're not really voting on anything right now, right? Because Tara's got the authority with the director of emergency management to make those recommendations or make those changes. She's given us a heads up on what's going on. We're having some input here. I think she's heard what we both said. And it sounds like you'll probably utilize the leniency that the current rules allow, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And we wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page
Yeah.
because we know how contentious this issue can
Yeah.
be. And instead of rolling it out to the staff and then pulling it back, and it just made sense to just wait and have this conversation.
Honestly, I think there should be a motion made to give Tara the authority to lay out the current restrictions and non-restrictions of masks.
We've already given that, but if you're saying a motion specifically for this language, then we should have that language presented to us so we can, or tweak it right here and now.
Mhm.
But typically, you've been making these plans
Yeah.
and changes along these plans all along. We haven't had those.
I get that,
Yeah.
but how do I want to say this without confusing everybody more? There's so many renditions out there of what we can and can't do. And Todd, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're seeing changes from the governor. We're seeing changes in my OSHA, and people say, well, I'm lost. I don't know what we're doing, you know, so.
Yeah, no, that's
We're
very
good
true.
with that. That's.
Well, I'll tell you, Chairman, I appreciate what you're saying, and you're right, it falls upon us. The buck stops here, right? Because the Board of Commissioners are ones that are making that determination, whether that's something we want to represent. So I had an 1.5 hour long conversation with Todd. We spent a lot of time wordsmithing this, going back and forth over what are we actually trying to achieve here? And I know that he's in communication with Tara. I think that what they're going to move forward with is sufficient for all parties involved. There'll be no, it'll be unlikely for there to be any issues regarding ostracization of individuals, whatever their choice is. But yet we'll follow the requirements of the law as it specifies.
Mhm.
So.
Okay, and Tara, just one last, sorry, I don't know who was gonna say. it. Tara, so you're gonna put a communique out to all county employees and a communique out maybe to the newspaper and local radio station for
Yeah, we can.
visitors come in, so everybody, because I can see it right now, somebody's gonna come in and maybe not vaccinate and say, hey, I don't have to wear a mask. Well, yeah, you do.
Right. Okay, yep, I can
Well,
do that. Oh,
Go
Todd.
ahead, Todd, sorry.
Commissioner Heberling, or through that whole thing, that's been a big discussion. That was part of the discussion I had with Commissioner Wyatt this morning, as far as what our controls are going to be. As far as MyOSHA is concerned, we need to sign the outside of the building that simply says if you're not vaccinated, you're required to wear a mask while within the facility. Whether the person wants to play that game of saying that they are when maybe they aren't, there's really no control that we can do there, except being an honor system that the people are being honest and trying to do the right things themselves.
Sure.
So we post it, we inform our employees of what they need to do and what the guidelines are for them and move forward. And as I said to Commissioner Wyatt, hopefully July 1st, we can take this document and hang it up on the shelf and say, gee, that was fun. And be done with it.
Yeah.
So that's our goal. And, and then as far as the MyOSHA, we just got to wait that out for MyOSHA to make their changes to the rules and see where they go. So
Sure.
it's that one step. We see the light, it's bright, but we're still in the tunnel. We got to get just a little bit further and we'll be out of it.
Well, Todd, I think I can speak for most of our board here, if not all of our board. We appreciate all you've done. And I know a lot of decisions that come down from the state put you in a position that you have to follow them and try to work with the state and work with the county. So you've done a great job. I just want to make sure today, before we leave our BOC meeting, that we're all clear on what the latest MyOSHA communication is and what we have to do moving
Yeah,
forward.
Tara and I have discussed it, and as soon as we're done here, and like she said, you just wanted to bring you guys up to speed so you guys knew firsthand exactly what was going on. And we'll be pushing this out to the employees of what the rules are of tomorrow morning, I guess.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Good discussion. Any other public comments?
I just have
Tara,
one
I'm
more,
sorry.
just regarding, I know there were some email correspondence regarding remote work. So we did leave that in the plan. However, it is not a MyOSHA requirement. My thoughts are, and I'll entertain this with the board, this really should be kicked back to the policy committee meeting, or the committee, if you will, sorry. So we can have further discussion on whether or not we want to continue remote work. The reason, and I'm assuming based on what I was gathering through the input, is that we don't want people working remotely, but I'm not sure if that was actually what it was, or if it was regarding the closure between noon and 1 for lunch.
Yeah, can I expand on that a little bit? Tara had sent out an email to all of us about working remotely and a few other things, and it pertained to essential workers. And I just say my response is we are all people that are hired here at the county are essential workers in each aspect of their job. However, I'm not sure that's exactly what the communique was about. It was more to do with the pandemic. So I understand when the pandemic came out, none of us knew. I think probably 99% of us were scared of catching COVID, and we put a lot of things, including Todd and his group, putting things in writing for the benefit and the health and safety of our county, which justly they should have. But I took it that the working remotely wanted to continue with that. And I know the pandemic, that's what we call it, right? The pandemic is getting close and getting better than it was a year ago. So I asked the question to Tara, why we'd have to continue to work remotely if we opened up our courthouse and either you wear a mask or not. But there's some good reasons that some people have to work remotely, and there's benefits of it. So I'm not dead set against it. It was just a question I brought. So I would probably go along with you. That needs to go to the personnel committee or the
Policy committee?
committee. So I think there's pros and cons both ways, and I think it needs to be discussed and voted on by that committee and brought to the board of commissioners.
Well, that can be done. We are gonna have a meeting coming up here shortly with some various policies, so maybe that'll be added into it. Anything off the top of your head as a group that for or again remote work? I mean, I'm all for it if it's not required to be there to service the public, but it's, work that can be done from home. I had a conversation with Gary, lots and lots of guys that I know that work for big private companies said that these companies are changing their idea about working from home. They're just killing it with efficiency on their employees. They're just working nonstop. They're getting more hours of work at the computer or whatever than they ever did when they were in the offices. So I don't think private industry is going to completely throw it out.
The other comment I made, and I'm glad you brought that up, is that Todd, in your document there, it said office was closed during noon, and so I talked to Tara and Joe about this morning, and Tara reminded me that we have, I hate to keep using the word essential, but the offices, like the clerk's office, those offices are open for noon because people take their lunch hour and come to get stuff. So I'm gonna take that one back. We have the correct office open during an hour that people need to do business, so.
Okay, we can continue that discussion then at the policy committee meeting.
All right, any other public comments? Okay, seeing none, I'll ask for adjournment.
So, support.
Okay, any further discussion?